Hey everybody, I'm Jeff. I'm a CPA, and I'm going to help you build a better financial future. Today we are going to be diving into the traditional 401k versus Roth 401k, traditional IRA versus a Roth IRA. So I've already discussed in part one what the 401k is typically about, but we're going to go into more detail on this one. So let's start with an IRA. An IRA is an individual retirement account. It is a completely separate account from your 401k or 403b or your pension. It is your own individual separate IRA. There are limits. In 2024, the limit of the contribution was $7,000. All right, so let's just go through a couple of things, traditional versus Roth, and what the differences are. Both of these accounts offer tax benefits, and the only difference is when they're taxed. So a pre-tax is contributed into your account before taxes are taken out, and then it will grow with that higher amount, and then taxes are taken out at the end. A Roth is paying tax now, but then it will grow tax-free. So all earnings will not be taxed. Those are some great tax benefits, and we want to take advantage of these as much as we possibly can. Now, why would you choose one or the other? So the general rule or the assumption is if you think that your tax liability is going to be greater in the future than it is right now, then you would choose the Roth option because you want to pay a lower tax liability now than you would if you let it grow in a pre-tax option and paying tax in the future. Vice versa, if you think that your tax liability now is lower than what it will be in the future, then you want to choose the Roth method. So that's just very high level, the tax benefits and why you would choose one or the other. The calculation is exactly the same if the tax bracket is the same. So if you're in a 25% tax bracket now and in a 25% tax bracket in retirement, pre or Roth is exactly the same. Both of them give you tax benefits and the calculation of tax is exactly the same. So that's how you make a decision. And how do you know what your retirement income is going to be? We are going to go into very detailed financial modeling when we talk about the budget section. So we're going to talk about a few different budgets, the monthly budgets, and then we are going to go into a lifetime budget, which actually takes a step up, 10,000 foot view every year, what that looks like for the rest of your life. Let's talk about some of the limitations or the restrictions on traditional versus Roth. Contributions that go into a traditional account have not been taxed yet. So the government wants to get their tax money. So they do this by putting on a required minimum distribution. So at the age of 73, which is the new number as of last year, starting at 73, everybody that has a pre-tax account is required to take about 3.8% every year, so that money can be taxed and then go to our government. There is no minimum on Roth accounts anymore. There used to be. It really didn't make sense, so they removed that because they've already taxed that money. They already have their tax, and it can sit in that account forever. And you can pass it down to your heirs or use it for yourself. Keep in mind that if you contribute traditional versus Roth, that will have an income on your current tax year. So if you contribute, if you have your employer pull out of your income contributions to a pre-tax account, that will decrease your taxable income for this year. That's again that tax benefit. You're not paying tax on it now, which means that your tax return is going to be higher. Likewise, the other way, If you choose to contribute Roth, that means that you're being taxed now, and your taxable income will be higher in the current year, which means that your tax return is going to be less, assuming that your W-9 is completed the same regardless of how you're contributing. W-9 will be a separate video when starting a new job. The limitation of a Roth account is that they enact a 5-year rule. The account has to be established and contributed to for 5 years before you can withdraw from that account. We'll get into more detail. You can withdraw contributions in certain scenarios, but you cannot withdraw earnings, and that applies to the 5-year rule. So that account getting established sooner rather than later is very important. If you're going to contribute to a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, start doing it now so you can start that 5-year timeline. Next, we are going to talk about the withdrawal rules for each account. There's 2 types of withdrawals. There is contributions and there are earnings. So contributions is what you contributed yourself. The earnings is the money that you've made in the market on those contributions. With a traditional 401k and a traditional IRA, it is exactly the same. It's just based on an age limit, 59 and a half. If you pull money prior to 59 and a half, there are a few exceptions. First time home, disabled, permanently disabled, and I think education is part of that as well. The rules have changed a little bit. If you pull money out of your traditional account, regardless if it's a 401k or IRA, there is a 10% penalty. So not only will you pay tax, income tax, on that money that you pulled out because you haven't paid tax on it yet, you will also have a 10% penalty, which will be very, very steep. Roth gets a little bit more complicated between a 401k and an IRA. So let's start with the 401k. 401k is very close to a traditional in that you have to be 59 and a half, but you also have to adhere to that 5-year rule. So if you're going to be using Roth as a tool, establish your account now and get that timeline rolling. The interesting part is the Roth IRA. So this can be a fantastic tool, and I highly recommend that you prioritize this one. So contributions can be withdrawn at any time, penalty-free. Why? You've already paid tax on this money. You are putting this money into an account, and you can take it back out, but only the contributions. So $7,000 is the contribution limit for 2024. If you put in $7,000 in 2024, and then in 2025, you want to withdraw $5,000, you can withdraw $5,000 penalty-free and tax-free, because you've already paid the tax on it. The earnings is what you cannot pull out of this account until 59 and a half. This makes this Roth IRA a fantastic early retirement tool. If any contributions are taken out of a Roth IRA, that money cannot be put back in. So every year you have a limit of $7,000. If you take that $7,000 out and you re-put that $7,000 in, that will then contribute to your limit for the year. So how you should prioritize your retirement savings. First, maximize what your employee will offer for a match. That is the number one priority. That's free money your employer is giving you as part of your compensation package. If your employer is matching 3%, but you have to contribute 6%, contribute 6% to get that 3%. After that, I would recommend to open an IRA and start investing in an IRA up to the $7,000. Once you have the Roth IRA maxed out, then go back to contributing more to your 401k if you want to get to your 10 to 15% of your income set aside for retirement to build a good financial future, giving you more options in the future. One more benefit of a Roth 401k versus a traditional 401k that doesn't exist in the IRA, you can put in more money using a Roth 401k than you can a traditional 401k. Let me explain this. The limits for a 401k for 2024 is $23,000. It's $23,000 regardless if it's pre-tax or after tax. If you put in $23,000 pre-tax, that means you're going to be taxed on that money later. If you're in the 25% tax bracket, 25% of that is going to go to the government. However, if you put in $23,000 after tax, that money is not going to be taxed anymore. So you can contribute 25%, if you're in the 25% tax bracket, more money into a Roth 401k than you can a traditional 401k. So if you're in a position to be able to max out your accounts, for sure look into the Roth 401k option, as it allows you to put more money in over time. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, and please share this video so I can help others build a better financial future.